Hey, what's good? What's good? How y'all doing out there? It's your boy, the one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett podcast. I'm gonna do this one for a good friend of mine, Chris Roker. I'm gonna talk about a little thing he brought up that something I guess he has an issue with, and I'm gonna give you my take on it. But before we do, we're gonna give you a word from one of our sponsors.
How we drinking? Me and my team, whenever we link up, they gonna be drink up. We sit down, relax and have few glasses when there's things to think about. Like I'm nice with the boss when I tend to the bars and I'm not talking drink ups. So tell the bartender that's tending the bar to please pass me a big cup up. And tell that waitress that's waiting on us to put a little ice in it. Now watch the ice become weightless like the spaceships that I be sitting in. Now wait and listen, no, they're waiting for that tropical twist that'll tickle your taste buds. Now taste some. Yo, I insist it's the drizzle.
I insist it's the Dizzle. Do you Dizzle? Yes, I Dizzle. Check out DizzleBrand.com. Dizzle Premium Luxury Liqueur, mixture of agave tequila, cognac, and orange liquor mango mix. Click on our locations on DizzleBrand.com. Click on one of the top 3 links, and you can order your very own bottle or bottles of Dizzle Premium Luxury Liqueur. Must be 21 and over. Shipping and handling is included. Also, there's the Dizzle Brand merch store on there as well. Check them out, DizzleBrand.com. So I'm going to get into a topic. Friend of mine, Christopher Roker, was saying that is, I guess, the senator in Florida that wants to pass this bill where churches run the government. Do I agree with that? Not one bit. First reason I don't agree with that. Let's go with the most basic reason is, isn't part of the reason that people supposedly came to America was for religious freedom, to not be told what religion they have to be, and for church to be running the government, that would basically say everybody has to be a Christian. I don't agree with that. Some people could choose to be Muslims if they want to, or whatever it may be, Mormons, people could choose whatever religion. I could choose to voodoo or the Santa Maria, whatever. We don't get to make that decision, because, in my perspective, all religions don't got the truth anyways. They don't got the truth, the actual proof, the actual evidence of who created us. And, why do we have to worship whatever created us? So the most basic answer is, I thought America was designed on religious freedom. So that takes away any religious freedom. So I definitely don't agree with that. And I don't think that most Republicans, I know it's a Republican senator, I don't think that most Republicans want the church to run the government. And another problem with church running the government is you got some religious fanatics. And religious fanatics kind of take things a step further. Another reason, look what happens. Look what history tells us when the church has too much power. They start crusades and start trying to conquer and kill people to convert them. And yes, Christianity, which I brought this up the other day, Christianity isn't, I don't know nowhere on the mainstream scale that Christians are killing people to convert them. Now, Muslims are still converting people, are killing people to convert if they won't convert. But that's the thing. Christians and Muslims both have had this ideology of the non-believer. Like Christians at one time were killing people because they were non-believers. Muslims have still to this day kill people because they're non-believers. Both of those are hypocritical. I don't know what books they've read. So you got the religious nutcakes, the religious, or not nutcakes, nutcases, religious nutcases, religious fanatics. Then one thing I also notice about religion is, you got to, how you got parents out there upset because there's rogue teachers teaching transgenders and pronouns and trying to teach forms of CRT in the school and racially divide kids and stuff like that. Well, that's also be done in churches. There's these new younger preachers. I seen one the other day when I reacted to it with this guy. He was a preacher and he clearly said that women should not be in no places of authority and no workplace should they be in the places of authority, which is really crazy because what if she's self-employed and she's a self-employed business owner? She ain't supposed to run her own business. Good luck with that. I don't know nobody that's not going to be self-employed and not run their own business. So he was a religious nutcase, a religious fanatic. So we definitely don't need um, religious nutcases and fanatics running the government. Um, we know what history tells us that if somebody like the Pope has too much power, that they start crusades and they go and they conquer cities and you know try to take cities that they try to say was theirs in the first place, which weren't theirs in the first place because they never even were from those regions. Like when the French are going to conquer Jerusalem and stuff of that nature and history back in the past, and I think England done it. Like they totally got like misconception and misinformation of where their religion, how their religion started and where it came from. You know what I'm saying? But no, religion shouldn't be. Another thing about religion is not fact. Religion is not truth. It's like religion is just like to be taken metaphorically. And yes, there's good people, good religious people like my sister and her husband. They're not fanatics, but they follow the morals of Christianity and they apply them to you know how they raise their kids and stuff, and their kids have turned out so well. You know what I'm saying? Very well mannered kids. Teaching them right from wrong, and things thou shalt not do to other people. And I do agree with certain things in religion, like you shouldn't just you know harm people, kill people, shouldn't victimize people for no reason. The laws of nature only say you could kill to when your survival depends on it, like clearly like you needing to eat or your life is being depends on it, self-defense. You know what I'm saying? But just man, just like we're so cruel and so dark that we'll just go kill people for no reason. Kill people over a girl, over money, over somebody calling you a name, somebody stepping on your shoes. We'll kill people over the most pettiest things in the world, you know. And it's been like that. And another thing, religion has always been divisive too. Why did let's go back into history. When did Christianity first become mainstreamed through Europe? It became mainstream through Constantine, who was a pagan. And why did he mainstream Christianity? Because he chose one over the other and mainstreamed it to try to bring peace because there was war between the pagans and the Christians. And who's to say who started it? I would probably say the Christians more likely started a war between the Christians and the pagans, because they were probably, looking at pagans as non-believers, but Christians were no more right than the pagans. I mean, I would argue that the pagans have probably got more. They're more into like, I think the pagans are more into like the earth and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I could be wrong, but Mother Earth goes as she goes. Like God doesn't. This idea that God controls weather. No, Mother Earth controls the weather. She just goes as she goes. You know, reactions lead to other reactions. And that's how you have tornadoes and hurricanes. And Mother Earth goes as she goes. And if I have to say anything is the God, the sun is the God. I think the Egyptians are the closest thing to getting it right, or maybe the Sumerians, you know. But I believe the sun is God. I mean, like, all planets revolve around the sun. They don't revolve around God. And that's if you want to call, like, we want to label it as God. That's the thing. The sun didn't create us. So whatever created us, like I said, doesn't necessarily have to be called God. It doesn't necessarily have to be worshipped. Maybe it didn't want to be worshipped. Y'all ever thought about that one? You know, but religion should definitely not be running government. History shows us what happens when religion has too much power. They try to convert everybody to that one religion, which, no, I'm never gonna, like, yeah, I went to church as a kid, but I'm not going back to being a Christian because Christians are wrong. And Muslims are no more right than Christians, or no more wrong. To me, they're both wrong. You know, I think history's been diluted and watered down for so long. I think we've been disconnected from history for so long because the Ice Age has definitely disconnected us. Um, any other, like, any other thing that caused a lot of, like, I do think society was larger at one point, and then a lot of people died off. Something called, maybe it was a asteroid, a meteor, something, you know, a plague. I don't know, but it seems to me at one point society took a reset, and when society took that reset, history got distorted, or lost, or misinformed, or misrepresented. And also, we got to look at what history is. History is always the story of the conquerors. It's like when you watch that movie with Christian Bale plays as Moses, like after the battle, they're sitting there, they're going over the historical events of the battle. And why some are true, others are embellished, and some are false. And they ask him, Ramses, is there anything else you want to change or add? And he's like, no. And he's asking him that because he knows that it's not fully true. It's embellished, you know, and history's always been embellished. When the conquerors conquer, they put icing on the cake and a cherry on the top, and probably embellish how they conquered somebody, you know, or they embellish a lot of details, you know. But history is never the history of the conquered. So we need those historical histories too. We need the histories of the conquered and their point of views, and then you could probably figure this thing out. But we always going for the history of the conqueror, and that's what religion is pretty much going up. And that'll never fly in America. Forcing, like, the churches running the government, that'll never fly. That'll be something that'll lead to a civil war. If I have to think of what all things that lead to a civil war, I think trying to take away all the guns that lead to the civil war. I think um what else? Anything else? Um nah, but I think if you try to force, if religion church tries to take over running the government, that would definitely force a civil war. Definitely force a civil war. You know, and I heard Charlemagne say something the other day, man, that just stuck out to me because I brought this up before, where I said people's ideas of um, policing in society is the the Tom Cruise movie, The Minority Report, where they knew about the crime before it happened. But that's make believe. That's fairy tales. That's never gonna happen. You're never gonna know about the crimes before they happen. You're never gonna be able to predict crimes in the future before they happen, unless you got, you know, witnesses saying, giving you evidence this is going to happen. But this idea that you could just, you know, look into the future and say, oh my gosh, this person's about to commit a crime. Let's go stop him before he commits it. If they ain't committed a crime yet, I mean, what are we talking? That's even like, that's really crazy. Even the fact that they were locking people up before they even committed crimes. Who was to say that something would not change? There was no flaws into that, you know. But I heard Charlemagne bring it up, and I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh yeah, because that's what people think society is. This utopia where, you know, they think. I think people's idea of society is that Christian Bale movie, Requiem of a Dream, or not Requiem, Equilibrium, where they injected stuff in their neck. They took away all their emotions. They had no hate, they had no love, they had no feelings whatsoever. So people wouldn't fight and argue, and because they had no feelings, they were like zombies. You know, it'd be like pumping somebody up. It's like it'd be like putting everybody in a nut house, in straight jackets, and pumping them with drugs, so they're just like zombies and they just have no emotions whatsoever. You know, like there's always going to be flaws. Always going to be flaws. And if y'all think the fix is Christian churches running the government, hell to the no. Hell to the no. That won't work. That'll cause a civil war. Um, America's supposed to be a place of religious freedom. You know, how would that bode well with Muslims and Jews and any other religions there are? Voodoo, Santa Maria people. I mean, how would that bode well? That wouldn't bode well. So I definitely don't agree with that, and I don't think that's going to happen. To be honest with you, I haven't heard that on a mainstream scale. Like all the podcasters that I watch that have conservative views, none of them are sitting there saying that churches should run the government. They're just saying people should have more Christian values. That's all they're saying. That the people that I watch and I listen to. And so I think, yeah, and I think that there might be a far right perspective. But this is the thing about the far right. The far right is not as mainstream as the far left. I'm gonna say this a million times. They are not as mainstream as the far left. Nobody even knows these far right voices like that. Not like these everybody knows these far left voices because they're so loud. They're louder than everybody. They're louder than just the people on the regular left, the middle, the right, the far right. They're louder than all the voices. The far left is the loudest voices in every room. And they're the most disrespectful voices, you know, the most divisive voices. Why religion could be divisive, it's not as divisive as far left Democrats calling every Trump supporter a racist white supremacist. It's not as divisive as that because the morals of Christianity are not that divisive, you know, not like real Christians, like my sister and her husband, who don't have a racist bone in their body, who treat all people the same, no matter their skin color. But they treat them based on their values. You know, if you're a scumbag, I mean, they don't even want to be around you, like me. They don't even want to be associated with you. And that's the thing. I know people think like Christianity is supposed to be like converting criminals or scumbags. No, man. People either got to be good, have good values, or not, man. People either like, and that's the thing. Like some people can be raised with bad values, but at some point you got to make your own mind up. You got to make a choice for yourself of what kind of human being you want to be, what kind of values you want to be. You know, that's how, you know, like at some point you got to take accountability for your own actions, your own values. And like I said, while I do agree with some of the values Christianity preaches, I don't agree with churches running government because that's more of the same of why people damn left America in the first place. I mean, left for America in the first place. There was a lot of people, regular civilians, that I would argue that just left because they wanted to be able to have religious freedom. There was Muslims that were probably living in Christian countries that wanted to just have religious freedom. There was probably Christians living in Muslim countries that wanted to have religious freedom. I mean, look what's going on with the Uyghurs in China. They're Muslims. They're being treated that way and imprisoned because they're Muslims. Because I think in China most of them are Buddhists, and Buddhists they're wrong too. They're wrong too. At some point, a lot of these religions, like the majority of them, are all man-made. I would argue that if anybody is close, maybe like the oldest civilization that lived on Earth was the Mayans of recent times. I would say probably they're the closest religion of knowing what created us or what people call God is. But I can tell you it's not no white Jesus. It's not, and that's the thing. At least Islam just says Muhammad was a prophet. I don't think Muhammad died and came back to life, and I don't think he was crucified or anything like that. I could be wrong. I've never really read up on it, but I think I'm gonna read up on the story of Muhammad when I get off here today. I just want to know a little bit more about, but I just don't think they've made him into this mythical, magical being like Jesus. And I just don't believe in magic. I believe in science. Anything that people would label as magic is science. And back then, they probably called it magic because they didn't really know it was science. So, yeah, I'm with Roker on this. Churches should not be running the government. Not one iota, not one bit. And that'll never happen. It'll never happen. It, it'd be a civil war. And yes, we do need to fix something with our government structures. Maybe we need more options, more political parties. But the only problem with that is these political parties can't get enough financial backing and enough support to compete against Democrats or Republicans, because people have been accustomed to either being Democrats or Republicans for so long. They've been accustomed to just one or the other for so long. In Mexico, I don't know, like for a while, it's only had one political party. They might have two now, but the PRI system is all they had forever. Like, imagine just having one political party. You don't got no choice, really. Like, it was always an illusion. They made people think that they had a choice of going with another person, but they never really had a choice because the other opponent never really stood a chance. And right now we're at a point where people are voting a person in just to get somebody out, but they're not necessarily looking at the fact, will that person do a better job or a worse job? Like what happened with Biden right now. Biden is clearly doing a worse job than Trump. I didn't vote for Trump, but guess what? Biden is clearly doing a worse job than Trump. And I disagree with Roker on the fact that Biden could have done something about this by now. There was way we could have definitely fixed this by now, but they're trying to force people to go green. They're trying to force that upon people, and that's another thing. How are you going to force people to go green? Maybe some people don't never want to go green. Maybe people always want. There's some people that only want to have muscle cars. They don't want to have no electric cars. Like, once again, man, it doesn't matter what political party you try to point the finger to. You could always point to some kind of freedom that you feel like is being taken away or being attacked. But I still have to say that right now the lesser evil is Republicans. Just because of the simple fact that Democrats have taken a stance that all Republicans or Trump supporters or voters are white racist supremacists, which is Civil War divisive. It's Civil War divisive. That's what it is. It's like you're asking for a civil war. You're asking for a civil war when you make a bold statement like that, which is totally false and untrue and incorrect. It's mathematically impossible based on the differences that people have from one person to another within the cultures and the differences that people have from one person to another within other cultures outside of their cultures. Because once again, like I always said, there's some black people that only listen to heavy metal music, like there's some white people that only prefer hip hop. The differences range so far and so much. It's mathematically impossible for, you know, everybody from one race of people to be white supremacist racist people. So yeah, but I'm with Roker. Like, churches should not run the government one bit, and that's not gonna. This isn't Rome. We're not going back to where the Pope runs things. And what church is it? What church at that? Like, that's the thing. Are we talking about Catholic churches, or are we talking about like regular Christian church, like Baptists, and Southern Baptists, and Pentecostal and Methodists and things of that nature? Because if you're talking about churches like that, then it'd probably be a group of people running the government. But you're talking about the Catholic Church, then now you're talking about the Pope running the United States. That's another thing I didn't take into account. What church are we talking about here? The Catholic Church or just the Christian church like Southern Baptist, Pentecostal, Methodist, and things of that nature? Because that does make a big difference as well. Like, who does the power go to? Yeah, but regardless, religion shouldn't be running government. Religion shouldn't be running government. Religion is all man-made, like government. So it is what it is. We had 28 minutes into this one. We're gonna give you a word from one of our sponsors, and we're gonna call it an episode.
Are you a musician looking for music marketing and promotion? Then look no further than Promo Palace LLC, your one-stop shop for all music promotion services. Services include Spotify playlist pitching, YouTube video promotion, record pool promotion, blog placements, radio airplay promotion, SoundCloud promotion, and much more. With over 2,000 customers and over 10 years of experience in online promotion, Promo Palace LLC is a company you can trust. For more info, please go to promopalace.biz. See you there.
That's right. Check us out. Get market promotions at promopalace.biz, the one-stop shop for all music promotions. Once again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Paul Pickett Podcast, source for music, sports, politics, world events, and more. Don't forget, video version of my podcast goes to YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. And we'll stream it live on 3 Twitter accounts: Twitter at Paul P Podcast, Twitter at Paul W Pickett, and Twitter at Urban Obsessions. And then the audio version goes to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Deezer, TuneIn, Stitcher, Slacker, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, and much, much more. Once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Peace, and I'm out.